you doing, Mike AM? It's a good day for a podcast. He said, yeah, let's do it. I said, fuck yeah, okay, let's do it. And that's how it happened, and it's happening now.
You're from Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
You currently reside in Hamilton.
Yes.
How many countries have you traveled to?
I'm going to need a minute.
Yeah, take your time.
I think around 14, 15, maybe. Woo. Yeah. That should be about right.
What do you find yourself doing when you go places? Sorry.
That is the sound of me eating pears and blueberries.
I gave him a pear from the Hamilton market. Sponsor us with fresh fruit.
If this was TV, this would be me showing the pear right now and smiling. Hello.
Yeah.
But that's not that funny
excellent.
on the mic. But maybe Mike thinks it's funny.
No, I'll
on
Instagram
the mic.
it. I'll Instagram it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I think the first time that I really went on a trip, I arrived in Portugal. And I stayed, and I had already began the trip kind of like on a bad leg, because the guy that was supposed to like host me on couch surfing literally just bailed on me, like just didn't reply. Oh. So I had to like book a hostel 2 days before. And I mean, I don't mind hostels, but I was like, yeah, like I want to stay with someone like Portuguese, like for them to show me around Lisbon and stuff, like the stuff that they like. I want to see the city through their eyes and whatnot. But I ended up like going to this hostel and meeting some really good like Brazilian dudes that ended up like being really, really good friends for the first like 1 or like 2 days of the trip. I don't know, you kind of just meet people. A really big thing for me was that in Portugal there's a writer called Fernando Pessoa, and that's a guy that I really, really like his writing. I was introduced to him by like my literature teacher in the equivalent to grade 10 in Brazil. Obrigado, Professora Mariani. That was me giving her a shout out. And I went around the first day and I found like the old part of the city. This is not really a town. And there was this like huge market happening that day, like a flea market happening. And I just literally just like walked around and there were bands playing. There were like, you know, the old people playing by this like square that had a seaside view, and they were just playing domino and playing cards. And I just like stood there and I was like, okay, like I dropped out of university. I'm here for the first day. And I just looked around. I talked to some people. I went into a restaurant that day, and it was this family restaurant and they didn't have anyone else. And they were super nice to me. Like the lady, her name I believe was Manuela, and she took her time and she helped me and she asked me like what was I doing in Portugal, and it just felt really like it was a really, really good first day. That was just kind of like, okay, you know what, you can do this. Like there's no reason to fear other people. Well, there might be reasons to fear other people, but in that situation, I was really embracing everything that anyone would tell me. Really, like I met some really good people in Portugal, and like Portugal is just a beautiful place, like in my personal opinion.
Nice. I love the language. Portuguese, like I don't know what it is, but it's so soft from a musical perspective. Like every time I don't know if I've ever heard a song in Portuguese that I didn't like. You know, I'm sure you could find me something that you know is.
I have a couple ideas that come to my head right now.
Yeah, you know what? Don't spoil the magic for me.
You know, I won't.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
I want to stay on this topic of travel. I find,
Sure.
for a little bit, I don't mean permanently. This won't be like the travel episode.
Bum, 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 bum.
Or is it?
Bum, 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 bum.
When you've been to so many places, do you start seeing countries in a different way? Do the borders kind of fizzle in your mind, or does it feel every time like I'm getting my passport stamped, I'm in a new place right now? You know what I mean? Has it changed?
That's a very interesting question. I think it depends to where, because like once you're in Europe, I mean, you don't even get your passport stamped. Like you just enter the European Union and they let you go around. But I feel like there's the moment before you enter the plane in which your mind is kind of like, it is kind of like an automatic pilot, but at the same time it's not. And in your head, you're like imagining how would it be when you land. You know what I mean? And I felt that really strongly last year in May, because I went to Iceland in May and I arrived there. But I had spent a layover in Iceland in 2015, and I remember being in the airport, and it was the only place that I remember, like from an airport window, you didn't see anything, and I was like, where am I? Like, what is this place? How is there not a building around this area? So I guess it depends. Like, as a Venezuelan, when like I don't have a Canadian passport yet, applying for that citizenship right now. Shout out to the government of Canada. Woo! Please let me in. As a Venezuelan, like when you show your passport, like right now, there's a lot of stigma with that, just because the country's in a really precarious situation. So, like, there's always this kind of like distrust that the officials have towards you, and also like when you're a dude who's like traveling on the cheap with a backpack and a guitar, like you're not exactly being treated as like, you know, a CEO of a big company, which is like, it's just, I guess, is reality. But yeah, there is, I feel like the feeling of going to a new place right now is more related to how I am made to notice that I am going to a new place because of my passport than in my mind. Like in my mind, it's just like, yeah, okay, like this is exciting. There's going to be new people. There's going to be new music, new literature, new surroundings, everything. But in my head, there's just the 10 minutes in which like this official looks at you and it's just denigrating to like realize that you are your passport and your passport is traveling. It's not even you that are traveling. You become like you're objectifying to a passport in that moment.
Right. Oh, that's really interesting. That kind of harkens back to harkens. Am I pulling a word out of my ass here?
That's okay, man.
Harkens. It harkens back to. I stand by that. Our previous conversation about technology, and it's kind of becoming that you have this like digital identification. And there's so much more of it, and it's becoming more and more official, especially now that, you know, you can actually get your socials checked and you have to submit to that at the border, right? So you have at least the Canadian-U.S. border. I don't know what the laws are with all individual ones, right? But there's still that possibility that someone's going to, you know, like look at your Instagram feed, and now your passport isn't just this icon that says what country you're from, but it's like this whole database of your life that you may or may not even consider as your passport. You're shivering.
That sounds terrifying. That
right?
Sounds absolutely terrifying. I think you just like may have probably one of the worst realizations of this year, but you're right.
Welcome to my mind.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's terrifying in there. So I find that every place that I go to, I end up connecting with people through music, and I have to find a place to do that, and it gives me a sense of
Purpose
for one, but also I feel like I can, the way an artist can capture his surroundings, it's like to interact musically with the people of a place, you can learn so much more through that language than you could through talking to them for a much greater period of time. Do you find that? Have you had, I mean, I'm sure you've had these experiences yourself being a musician.
I think that, like, that's definitely, like, a big part of it, because, I mean, when you're carrying a guitar, like, you're bound to find someone that will be like, oh, like, where are you playing? What are you doing with the guitar? So it's definitely, like, it is something that ends up connecting you, and it definitely did it for me. And right now I'm going through my mind, and pretty much in every country, other than maybe the Netherlands, because I didn't end up playing a lot of music there, like, it definitely, it became a staple of the people that I met, of the people that I interacted with most of the trip. So yeah, you're definitely right. Like, even if I didn't really look for it, indirectly, you always end up finding music to play or music to listen to, or like that space to grow in that way, musically speaking. And there's, like, obviously culture. A huge part of culture is music. So when you're, like, in a really, really new place and you're listening to, like, new voices of or new instruments or new ways of playing things that you play differently, it's incredible. Definitely.
That happens sometimes where you're playing in a new setting or with new people, and all of a sudden there's, like, words in your vocabulary. I mean music, they're like phrases, musical phrases that you know are coming from them. You know, there was even a drum teacher at Mohawk where I studied music, and several people had this experience where they're like, did you ever realize that when you're jamming with Dempsey, you're, like, playing and you'll play something sick, and then you'll realize that he made you do it? And everyone could relate to this feeling that this idea wasn't in your head, and then, like, the thing that the other musician was supporting you with, transmitted it to you.
I think definitely. I think that just means that whoever that guy or girl, like, is like an incredible musician, because I feel like that's where you're, like, really getting into something, like when you're, like, playing as a band and, like, each person truly has their own kind of flavor and you're all kind of, like, getting a little bit of that. Like, there's something really sweet about that.
It's like picking up someone else's mannerisms, except, like, the cooler that person is, the sooner you want to do it. You're
definitely.
Like, oh my God, what's that word? And it could be something like, what? Rad? He says rad? Can I say rad?
Will I be rad if I say rad?
Only one way to find out.
One way to find out.
So, how, your writing style, do you find that you write a lot more than you release, or do you, like, baby a song and nurture it and develop it, or a little bit of both?
I mean, I literally released one song. Last time I released a song was in 2000. I can't even, like, remember.
2016.
Yeah, I think it was 2016.
The last single, so that's not too long ago. And then you have an EP before that.
Yeah. So the EP before that was definitely the moment that I was like, I really want to release something, like, and we just, like, got into a really good friend's studio, and he's, like, an engineer producer, and, like, in 2 days he brought my ideas to life and added so many new things to it. And like that was definitely one of the first moments that I was like, okay, I want to release a lot of stuff like really fast. But at the same time, I became I guess it's kind of weird to say this in this platform, but like I became very, very aware of like what I was doing in social media, and I really stopped like posting a lot of stuff about music and all that kind of thing. But I'm trying to get back to it. Like you probably noticed that I'm shamelessly plugging myself much more these days.
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, it may feel shameless. Someone once told me that like if you feel like you're doing too much promotion, that's probably the appropriate amount.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
that's, yeah, exactly. It's terrifying.
Very terrifying.
I've recently kind of shifted my perspective of it as like, I mean, so I'm 28. So when I started playing music, social media was basically irrelevant.
Those were the days.
They were. But then there was this gap where all these people start exploding on social media, and then it goes from being like this big leg up to the norm. And then I had to make this transition to I now have to
do social media.
Exactly. I have to do this social media. So I'm taking time away from my art to tell people about my art. And it was this very difficult balance of like, it just felt like so egotistical and so, just like, why am I doing this? I'm like, I'm going out of my way to sacrifice time that I could be spending on the thing I'm doing to tell people about the thing that I love to do. And it felt like a chore, and it was immediately recognizable as that. So on top of that, it wasn't even effective, because when people have excellent bullshit detectors like in person, a little less so over the internet, because you get some time to craft what you're putting out into the world, right? So then I'd kind of like do it where I'd, do all the social media at the time of a release and then kind of fall off and then kind of flip-flop, and it was unpleasant and it was a chore. And over the last, I don't know, year and a half or so, I've really changed my perspective of it as like, this can be part of my art. This is like, I can now like hang my paintings and my drawings up in someone else's, or on their extra brain, right? So it's like, if you have this little thing, I can put it right there and you can access it. And if you like what I do, then this keeps me accountable to myself for continuing to create art, right? So just like, working on a song today, and I share a riff, and then I connect with, I mean, if all goes well, if it's pretty good, it catches the attention of another musician, another artist that I enjoy, and they'll say something encouraging, or they'll have even more useful to me, like a critique, like, hey, have you tried this? Or the next time I see them in person, they'll say something. And so now having shifted my perspective from this is something I have to do so people know about my art, it's now, this is a window into my art, and it's a facet of it itself, and it makes me enjoy it more, and it makes me produce more. And I mean,
that's the goal.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that I'm trying to get to the point that you're speaking of right now. And I like I'm getting better with it, and I'm accepting it more. But like literally, when I share something, I press the button share, and I literally press the home button right away, and I'm like, oh, like it's done. Like it's kind of like this thing of like throw it to the wolves and like leave it there, and if it survives, or if it comes back alive, or if it comes back strong and like victorious, like that's awesome. But I'm trying to obviously cater towards that, because I actually had a friend that like she lives in England, and she was telling me that she's doing social media management for bands. And right now she's looking for customers. And then she even told me, like, it was like, oh, like, I was like, oh, like, how much are you charging and whatnot? And she's like, yeah, 100 quid a month. And I was like, and then she said, that's for like the basic package, if you want like a day-to-day basis. And I was like, oh my God, like this is an industry.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
Like someone gets paid to write stuff about you that, I mean,
sometimes like, to write stuff as you.
Yeah.
If that's what you authorize, which is, once again, that falls into the bullshit detector, because when I sense that from someone, I don't follow that account. And some people will.
Interesting.
But it's a much more artificial thing. So I like Instagram a lot, right? And
I'm with you.
I find, yeah, it's a good
cool.
It's a good form. Right. You can put out like a minute of video or audio or images, and then write about it if you choose, or not to.
Yes, sir.
And once again, like comparing those numbers, like all those, that industry is about getting your numbers up.
Yeah.
And my metal band, Zero Fire, we got denied for factor applications.
Oh, wow.
For one of our strongest critiques was our low
social media
thing.
My
and it's
God.
like all these bands with 10,000 likes on Facebook, it's like those aren't people. Those are like Indonesian bots programmed to communicate with each other so that they don't get taken down by Facebook, so that the algorithms look at them as real people.
Okay.
Right? So
didn't know that. More terrified, even. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, you've never seen a like farm?
What I heard was that I saw this thing of a friend, like he put it on like his Instagram story, and it was literally saying like, I buy an account with 20,000 likes, like for this amount of price. And I was like, wait, what? Like this is literally like Instagram is digital currency? Like, yeah. Bitcoin and Instagram are the same thing?
Well, it's influence, right? So influence has always been, since the dawn of time, really, influence is valuable, right? And but it's not real, once again. So it's like if the way you get the 20,000 likes account is through buying I don't know, like, it's no secret that sex sells. So if you start a page with like a highly sexual element, garner up a lot of followers, and then sell that account, and then you sell that to, a beauty company or something like that, now they have, 20,000 followers who are all like horny men. It's not useful to them, maybe like 5% of that fan base will overlap with the actual interests they're trying to appeal to.
So you got to find like your audience and your market and know that is what you're trying to say.
Exactly. So it's like you may have like my Facebook page has 65 real people on it, right? Oh, one of them, we had one question. Karen asked if you will collaborate with her. She's a filmmaker. She was like, "Wow, this is sick. Will you collaborate with me?" Sorry to put you on the spot, but I replied in the comment I would ask you.
That's cool. I think she added me on Facebook, and I saw that there was this really cool thing on her cover page, I think, of like Natalia Azul de Mercado or something like that. And it looked interesting. I'm always like willing to collaborate, so right. Definitely, yeah.
All right.
Tell her to shoot me a message on So this is literally going from me to your podcast to
Yeah.
a Facebook message from you for her to send me a Facebook message and me reply on the phone that is right beside me. Do you realize?
Yeah.
Do you realize that?
It's ridiculous. But
Oh my God.
would you have preferred to have done that by pigeon?
I would have preferred to, like, obviously no, not a pigeon. I would have to train a couple of them. I remember,
Which I'm sure you're working on.
Yeah. I mean, that's like it's no surprise that my political science degree might not take me very far. So it's either spending a lot of money on a master's or, spending a lot of money training pigeons. And like,
I think
the
you just
decision
catch them.
is
There's
made.
so many downtown.
yeah.
Well, speaking of downtown, Jose was late today for the most Hamilton of reasons. And that was...
that someone had puked on the bus that I was in.
Someone threw up on the bus.
But, like, to be fair, we stopped at Main at McNabb. They didn't, the 10 didn't just keep on doing the route. And when we arrived, there was literally a bus, waiting for us to get in. So it was, so I was like, oh, wow, this is, good. This is good communication. This is good problem-solving skills. So good on you, HSR bus drivers. You guys rock.
There's another shining endorsement from the Michael AM radio show on the internet. Give us free bus passes. Let's continue with songwriting, social media, being afraid of
Oh God.
Of technology, as I am. I mean,
do
I don't pretend I'm not. I have a friend in my life who is much smarter than me. He's a professor at Mohawk, and he assures me that he says I have nothing to worry about, but I think what he means is we're all fucked regardless.
Okay.
I ask him every time. I'm like, "Do you really mean this?" And he's like, "No, we're fine." And I know what you mean. So I've just once again I've just embraced it.
I don't know, I don't know if I want to embrace it. For me, it's much more so, there are ways to still feel that you belong to yourself in a way. But no, that's also very narcissistic. It's a very difficult thing to answer this question because, it's not... Obviously, I'm not afraid. You see me. I post on Instagram and stuff. It's not... I can't really come here and say, I'm completely, sheltered from social media. And then if someone looks me up, it's oh, this dude published, something 2 days
Jose
ago.
published 5 hours ago.
Yeah, so, no, I'm not, I'm not inside... I'm not in a basement with, tinfoil hats waiting for, the apocalypse to happen. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because...
a machine makes that tinfoil.
Yeah, there you go. Well, then we're even more fucked. Even when you're trying to save yourself, you're doing it by a machine. But, there was this really cool thing in Night, which is the short story that I was telling you about. And I'm going to spoil it for you right now. And I'm sorry for that.
I love spoilers.
All right, and cool. This works out. Night is about this astronaut dude that basically gets stuck in space, and he believes there's this weird sort of a stream of consciousness thing that happens throughout the story, and then by the end, he's I think in Venus or Jupiter, and he's the last human being on Earth. And the only things that remain are machines. But the hydrogen that the hydrogen tanks that the machine have been living through are about to they're about all to be out. So this guy literally has this moment of being frightened that he's the last person in the world. Being frightened that he doesn't really know this aliens or machines. But then all of a sudden, you have this moment in which he's listening to the silence of the universe. And he says something along the lines of, I'm going to walk until I become part of that silence. And there's something so, to me, like, that's just such a huge part of why humans are so incredible in a way, because it's like, it's your capacity to adapt, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same way of, like, this protection that a mother may have if, like, her kid is in danger. Is this part of yourself that you might not even know that is in you, that is within you, but if you're put into a situation that needs it, you find a way of coming out of it in this martyr. So like he's not accepting his death in this like, oh yeah, we're all fucked, like whatever, I'm just gonna walk into oblivion. He's like saying, I want to become one with the universe. So for me, what I want is for the moment that I embrace all of this technology that is around me, not to be the moment which is like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I got to do and I will do it. But the moment that I'm like, okay, like, I am comfortable enough with myself and with the degree of autonomy that this new avenue is allowing me to have or not allowing me to have, which I think is much more of the case. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Once again, so many things to unpack from what you just said. For
Let's
one,
do it.
that idea of becoming part of the silence, you know, we all get there eventually, but you know that show Black Mirror?
Oh God, do I?
Yeah, that idea of uploading a consciousness,
oh my God,
onto a hard drive that then experiences eternity.
Is that the San Junipero one? Like the one of like the old ladies?
There's a
that
few
are
of
in
them.
paradise?
They
Okay.
repeat themselves a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there is the San Junipero one where they're in like this paradise, but paradise gets old and they can't die or whatever. But then that season finale also has the same kind of fridge full of
Allegory,
like, memories and stuff, and that's like, do you think that's just like a thing that simulates, you know, suffering or experiencing infinity or whatever? Do you think there's this frequent question, now that you're getting into sci-fi, there was a character on Star Trek who refused to teleport. I think it was one of the crew members in the original one, and he was like, nah, man, because you die. Like, that's not you that's back there. Do you think there's like an element of the spirit that, you
Transcends?
know, isn't transcends this algorithm? Or do you think everything you are can indeed be captured at some point of technological advancement into this thing that can then be uploaded into a robot, onto another brain, into a computer, and just simulated indefinitely? Is that what we are right now? Some people think that. I don't expect you to have the answer, but what do you make of that?
I think that, like, that's where we are trying to get, I believe, which is this, like, idea of everything becomes an algorithm. Like, I had to write a paper not long ago. By that I mean on Sunday. And I said basically just a burn towards the professor that I was writing it to, kind of, which was like, all of this person's work are like statistical, quantifiable things. And I was like, I want to return to a moment where the bleakness of quantification has not yet become the rule. And I feel like that's a lot of, like, I feel like that would be my reply to what you just said, which is that, yes, we can put our memories in a machine, and maybe the machine will be so incredibly like on point that it will have our mannerisms, it will have our defects, it will truly like be a resemblance of us, but there has to be something like within like the mind that cannot be replaced by a hard drive. Like, I want to believe that. Perhaps that is just like a very romantic, utopic answer, but I would have to stand with that. Like, there has to be something, I don't know, like within the senses, you know what I mean? Like when you, like maybe this like copy of me, when he eats a pear, like he would not actually taste the flavors that I'm tasting, or he wouldn't be like crazy about cinnamon as I am, or like he wouldn't like basically cry when he eats like tomato with grilled cheese on top, because that's like just like the most incredible thing in this world. Perhaps I haven't lived that much, and that's a very sad thing to say, but you know,
grilled cheese is one of the finer things in life for sure.
I stick by my statement. I stand by my statement.
So what if it kind of, there is no continuous thing? Like the me from 10 seconds ago is dead and never will be. Okay. And the me who just said that last thing, same deal. The me 10 seconds from now is only going to exist for a fraction of a second and has no resemblance to that. And therefore, you know, the robot that my memories get implanted into, not that this is going to happen in my lifetime, maybe, you know, they're actually kind of, it's all not me, and it's all just this kind of nebulous cloud and everything. We're all one, and it's all just a part of that singular consciousness. And there's, you ever look into that? Maybe we're getting a little too deep into the philosophy thing, and neither of us know too much. No, just deep enough.
I'm okay with that.
You're good with this. All right.
I'm 100% good with that.
See, we're just gonna find out who the listeners are. You know,
perhaps, yeah.
Who survives this?
Bum 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 bum. I keep like basically imitating your soundboard. I'm very sorry for that.
Oh yeah, I have the soundboard. Let's. I have yet to utilize it.
There you go. I feel honored.
You say something, and I'll interject with something appropriate or perhaps completely inappropriate.
What are we looking for? Something like something accurate, something eloquent, or this is like zab or that? Not that. Maybe not that.
Yeah, probably something like that.
Something around those areas. I can just scat.
Yeah, so here. There we go. So
what happened? What happened? Do you like Sublime?
It's just yeah.
Hell yes.
Duh.
Good stuff.
Oh man. Oh, here it is. Yeah.
Hey, what happened?
So
early in the morning. I said so fine, and as I step into the sun, there's no recollection.
Oh, you're like mashing up songs right now. I like it.
There's no recollection of the evil things I've done. Everyone likes to have some fun. What happened? Such a good tune.
Right, so I think the last thing I said was something along the lines of that old proverb that if you stick your hand in a river twice, it's not the same river. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I think that, yes, but at the same time, like, that river that keeps changing is learning from those experiences.
Oh.
So I'm 100% with you with the idea of like impermanence and like every moment is different and whatnot. But at the same time, a huge like quality of human beings is that resilience. So like resilience only exists because you notice that like perhaps if the mug of tea that you gave me was very warm and I introduced 2 of my fingers into the water that is very hot, the moment that I know that, like, I will not do that again. And my fingers feel it. Like, it's my senses that tell me what is right and what is wrong. Like, there's this, like, the nervous reaction that goes from my arm to my neurons can go back, which I don't know if this machines would react the same way. Like, even if, like, there's a, like, every second that is passing, this machines, like, are upgraded and they understand every single situation, there has to be an aspect of them that cannot resemble my own reaction. I have to believe by that, man. If not, why am I alive?
But, well...
Okay, that was a very, very sad
it was a little dark, but
sorry.
it's not...
I am okay, guys. Whoever is listening to this, I did not mean to alarm you. I apologize.
That element of human resilience is this use of technology to preserve the human form and consciousness, not an extension of that resilience, and then it's a transcendence. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Yeah, of the physical frame that you're kind of born into. And just like you can, replace an arm with 3D printing, you get more and more ability to do something like that. There's those, like that Blade Runner guy who I think
not
beat the
seen any of the
shit
movies,
out of his. This isn't a movie. This is a guy who beat the shit out of his wife, but won several gold medals in the Paralympics or something like that.
Okay.
I don't remember the. Without that element of it, without that obvious horrible thing, there's other guys who have these, but those like.
That was a pretty bad example.
Those scoop-shaped
technology is good, but okay.
You know what? He's not a reflection of this, but those scoop-shaped legs, like I think some of those people, like those guys can run faster than me. I think like it's actually at the point where it's kind of enhancing people, and just like both of us are wearing glasses, that's
because of it. Yeah.
Like I think as with everything, it's just you have to take it as it comes and reflect on it, see what it means to you. But maybe it is just kind of delusion to think, oh, I'm gonna live forever in this extended form. But maybe I don't know. But maybe your meaning to other people, is not to be overlooked either. Like if someone would miss you very much and they get to continue to interact with you and continue to have you in their lives, maybe that significance is all you ever were, and therefore it still is.
Interesting. I think that I was corrected by my partner with the exact same answer that you just gave me, and I think that I should definitely accept that, because it definitely has helped a lot of people, as you have said, like us, in a very, very minuscule way, that we use glasses. If we didn't have glasses, we would not be able to see, and that wouldn't really be good, obviously.
There's those hearing aids that go directly into your brain.
Yeah. I think I saw one of those videos, like Facebook finds those very emotional things that are going to like make you believe
those
that the human race
titles.
Yeah. And there was one, I think, that was like, there was one that was insane. I think it was this story about this guy and his son is looking around a window, and he's on a train, and the kid is extremely happy, and he's like crying by just seeing like leather seats and like seeing the prairies and whatnot, and the people beside around him are like making fun of him, because they're like, okay, like, yeah, this is basically just our day to day. This is our commute back like from work or whatever. But this kid is just embracing everything. And all of a sudden, this like when the stop that they were going to get out, like to get off, like arrives and whatnot, the father like lets the kid go first, and he says to the men like, "I apologize for my son. He recovered his vision today, so he's feeling very happy. He has never seen this before." And I don't know if that's a true story or not. I hope that it is. I could see it being. But yeah, like, obviously I'm coming from a point that could be very selfish, and I understand that, and I'm sorry for that, and I have been pointed out by that. But technology is obviously also giving a lot of people that may not have had the chance in the past a chance to live their life just like any other able-bodied person would. So yeah, like I absolutely understand that element. Like that's not a bad thing at all. I think the issue for me comes with when my owned body abilities are over, like, taken by these machines. Like, if I need it, like, that's cool. But my issue is much more so when you were saying, like, yeah, there's this person that can exist instead of you. And I'm like, but, like, I'm here. Hello. Hi there. But yeah, like, I hate absolutes, and I'm not going to put myself in I'm completely against technology, like humanistic. Like, I think, there's a name for this, people. Like the Unabomber was one of those dudes. Like, and he
wanted to, like,
Kaczynski. Yeah. His manifesto is called The Industrial Revolution and its problems and its defaults or whatever. And it's like 57 pages of him just like shattering companies and energy and like plantations and everything. Like, but
what did he accomplish with the way he went about that? And
I mean, he didn't accomplish that much. He accomplished quite a bit when he published the book, and then a lot of like academics in the field and whatnot were like, "Oh wow, like this is kind of disturbing how much a guy that we're calling that is a serial killer is making sense right now." And there are documentaries. I am not trying to justify the Unabomber in any way. I am actually very in conflict with myself for the fact that I read that manifesto. But there's a really good Netflix show called Manhunt, the Unabomber. And it's not me, it's the social media that is telling me to watch that. So I am just being a good sheep.
A good sheep.
That is all.
Back to songwriting. We'll keep coming back to songwriting. I feel like
sounds good, dude.
Someone asked me what the theme of my podcast is, and I was like, I don't want to have like a theme, but I'm a career musician, and that's the lens I see everything through, and the podcast is a look into that, right? So if you don't like music, this isn't the place for you.
Get out.
Or it is. You know what?
Don't get out.
Sorry. Don't get out.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't scare our listeners.
I apologize.
So you're working with a band now. Is this like a band, or is how are you finding your dynamic with?
What is a band and a band? What is the difference?
There's like Led Zeppelin, or there's like Dave Matthews Band.
That's a very good way to ask that question. I think that at the beginning, like, the guys wanted to like do much more of a thing of like, I am the singer-songwriter and they are like accompanying me.
Right.
But like, these dudes are extremely talented. Shout out to Darren, Gavin, Ian, and Victor. You guys rock. And so like, we are already using one song that Darren brought in, and another former member wrote part of the, like, most of the lyrics, and I ended up just kind of like finding a way to like sing them and adding a couple like words and like bridges and a bit of like the outro. But no, like what I want this to be is definitely a band. I mean, I don't really know if we want to be exactly Led Zeppelin because no one is. I actually have a funny story about Jimmy Page in a second if you like, but like there's something really like cool about working with all of these dudes that have so many different influences and like trying to help each other out. Is that thing that you mentioned with the dude that was the drummer, right?
Yeah.
Which is the really cool thing. Like, I love diminished chords, and Darren is like a sucker for diminished chords. So like basically every song that we've written together has like a diminished chord progression in between, and we're noticing that. So like there's those really interesting overlaps, but at the same time there's moments that like he might be writing a very pop song and I'm a fan of like the 7-minute I'm gonna spill my guts to you, and if you want to listen, that's cool. If not, like who gives a shit? I just want to like let this out of me. I'm sorry, that was perhaps I do give a shit because that's why I put it out, but or maybe I don't really know. I'm on the fence.
No, you do, but if people don't give a shit, then you don't give a shit. I get it.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, there's nothing better, in my opinion, than, like, closing yourself in a room and just, like, hammering that one even, like, a very simple, like, pattern of chords and just, like, is spilling your guts. Like, my best song is actually that. Like, I was just mad. I went into a room. I started screaming first, because I was listening to a lot of Damien Rice, and that's how Damien Rice does. And I just started like throwing words, and like fortunately enough, I had my phone recording at that point. So later on I went, like when I finished the song, I was like, shit, like this is not bad. And I went around and like, you know what I mean, took my time to write every single lyric down, and I'm still writing that song like up to this day. So I think that the really cool thing about a band is finding a really nice balance in between that. Like one of the other dudes in the band who's the keyboard player / drummer right now, like Gavin Rees, he's in a band called Run Maggie Run, and they're doing really well in Hamilton and all around. And like Gavin writes beautiful music, and I've been wanting to like play music with him for like a very, very long time. So I'm really happy. And now that I have this chance, which I don't know how long will it be, I don't want it to be like, hey, Gavin, like, this is all the stuff that I'm writing. Like, just, like, play it as, like, I'm playing it. No, like, I want to hear, like, him say, like, oh, yeah, like, this is cool. Like, this is not that good. And everyone, you know what I mean? So, definitely, like, right now the band is called Lobo, which is my second last name. But we don't really want to make it about that. We want to make it just as, like, it's a translation of wolf. Or Timberwolf. I think someone else told me that was what I meant. And yeah, just like finding a nice medium in between that is not like me as a singer-songwriter expanding to a full band, but it's me being part of a full band. Like, I just went to see Jose Gonzalez, so I guess like this is the best example that I have in my head right now, which is like there's Jose Gonzalez and there's Junip. Like Jose Gonzalez is the vocalist for Junip, but there's something different about the two songs. Like if you listen to them, obviously the voice is the same, so there's that.
Nice.
Okay. I'm sorry for ranting.
No, that was excellent. You know, you didn't. You covered everything. So, when can people expect new recordings soon, or you don't want to set out any dates yet?
You know what? I like this. You're putting me in the spot for the second time, and all right, let's.
Second time, I don't remember what the first time was.
Karen.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
No,
man, I saw
I don't mind that at all.
I saw a video of. Do you know who Gary V is?
No.
He's a motivational speaker, but his main business is selling wine. And he had a little podcast, and he had John Legend on the podcast.
Oh man!
And this guy wrote in or called in who was a SoundCloud rapper, and he like asked for some advice. They gave him some advice, and he was like, "Hey, John Legend, if I wrote you a really dope track, would you collaborate with me?" And then John Legend like, he's like, it would have to be really, really, really dope. And then Gary Vee's just like, "Okay, bye," and hangs up on him.
Okay, well, that's not cool. Poor
but
guy.
like that's
savage. That's rough.
I mean, that was a little harsh of Gary Vee, but very polite of John Legend. But shoot, yeah, putting you on the spot. New recordings.
So we have an EP coming out, but it doesn't have the whole band that is in right now. And the EP is called In All Good Hope. And it should be either 4 or 5 songs. And I am hoping to have it released at least on online platforms by the end of March, beginning of April. That's the hope.
Oh, soon.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, man.
Yeah.
You think you'll do the Spotify thing?
Oh, I'm 100% doing the Spotify thing. Yeah. I already looked into the charges. They're not as bad as I thought they might be, but like you get almost no revenue, and that's fine. Like that, I just wanted to put it there because it's an easy platform for everyone to grab it from, and people like being like, "Yeah, I have it on my Spotify playlist. Like this is cool.
Yeah.
This is cool."
It's like by far the laziest way to support an artist, and I'm now 100% guilty of it, and I don't put my own music on Spotify because I don't like that. That they benefit from it so much, you know what I mean? But I'll probably change my tune eventually. I just, you know what? I'm on it. I love using it. And, I love when my favorite artists put their stuff on it. So you have all music available to listen to. I mean, a lot of bigger artists are kind of, getting out of there. They'll just put a greatest hits up and be like,
I didn't know that.
That might be kind of the way to go. Just like
interesting,
just
like a little tiny.
You can dip your toe in Jay-Z or whatever, and if you like it, you can look at his discography on his website or whatever.
I mean, like Spotify is cool for like studio albums and stuff, but like I'm like a person that loves live performances, and they don't have a lot of those. So like, for example,
not yet.
No. So there's like, I think like if I think about one of those would be like Etta James, not Etta James. Yeah, no, I think it's Etta James. Yeah, Etta James, I'd Rather Go Blind.
Yeah.
Like she has this like, I think it's 1968 or 78, like Montreux Festival, like live performance, and it's 8 minutes, and it's just like, it just shatters you. So like, yeah, Spotify can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, there's something about good old YouTube that like it's much better. But it's a cool platform, definitely.
And better yet, good old real life.
I don't know if for Etta James you can do that. I'm not quite positive.
But for you can do that this weekend, maybe.
That was a beautiful way. Wow, what a segue. That was so professional.
Oh, thanks. I've got 2 of these under my belt now.
Nice. So we will be opening for Frank Reynolds and Hamish Patterson. Hamish Patterson is a band from London, and Frank Reynolds is from my old town, Oakville, Ontario. And we will be at Less Than Level on Kerr Street. Music starts at 10. It's just a $5 cover, and if you find yourself around the area, definitely come up. And if you actually came because of this, please tell me, because I might actually, like, there's a big chance that I will buy you a drink, because that'd be very cool.
Ooh, there you have it. Show up to Jose's show in Oakville because of this. Does this apply to your how about I might cost you an arm and a leg here with my massive fan base, but you want to do this for your next few shows? You have one at Mulberry too. you're reconsidering this. I see this in your face.
No.
You're like,
I
what
mean,
if this takes off? I have to buy people so many drinks.
I mean, like, we might have to, like, if this gets a little bit out of control, I might just, like, need to create a Facebook event and call it Michael's Friends Podcast Potluck with Jose.
And then you'll just provide a bottle and, like, get people drunk at your apartment or something like that.
I meant much more so, like, I'll provide some drinks and some kind of, like, foods, and people can bring stuff to, and we can have, like, a party and be like, hey, like, you listened to me when I was, like, on the mic with Mike? Oh, wow, that was awful.
That's good. On the mic with Mike. Ooh, I'm sure that's taken, though. You think?
It's 100% taken.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing that a Google search won't, like, help you find out.
You know what? I already know. But
you should check out. You don't know that?
The
Maybe...
Michael AM radio show on the internet is only taken by me.
Shout out to yourself.
To myself.
Shout out to Mike.
I can't
last
sponsor
name
myself.
That I can't pronounce.
Mishkovsky. Yeah.
There we go. Shout out to Michael Mishkovsky. So, but yeah, we're playing Mulberries. It would probably be a full band show, but just like, acoustic set, just because Mulberries is a coffee place.
And that's no cover, right?
Yeah, no cover.
Some great coffee. Some of the best coffee in the city.
Yeah, good sandwiches too. Good little paninis. Thanks.
Good music, at least on Wednesday.
That's very nice of you to say. I hope so. And then I will be supporting a good friend of mine, Mo Kamari. He's releasing his EP at the Staircase Theater on March the 7th. And I remember last time I played at the Staircase was like a beautiful time. So I'm very excited for that. The owners are super, super kind people, so I'm really stoked for that one. And last show that I know of at the moment is I am playing for the Yoga Fest at the Burlington Convention Center on March the 18th, and that is probably gonna be a lot of cultic kind of like tunings and Jum Butlery kind of stuff. Ooh. Rather than a lot of like, well, I guess it's still singer-songwriter, but it's not really like folk.
Is it a performance stuff. Or will there be a class? Are you providing the soundtrack to a class, or is it just...
I have no idea, man.
Really?
I actually don't know. Like,
you're slated as a root chakra musician. This is... Do you identify with this?
I mean... Root is kind of cool.
That's the sensual one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I can get all like Ray Charles on that. I can get very soulful and sensual.
See, I know more about your show than you do. Crazy. No, you already knew that. You posted it. I only read what was on your Instagram feed. Then again, I can't tell. Do you write your own Instagram posts? I don't know.
I wrote the first part of that one, and the other part was like the repost thing.
Yeah.
But I said repost. I didn't say that those are my words. I actually had to like... I'm not going to say that, actually. I'm going to take that back. Just because I don't want issues with the Yoga Fest people. But yeah, that's actually a very good question. I have no idea. I'm just really excited because I'd never really been in an environment like that. So, and actually, the reason why I got invited to that show is because of the last Staircase Theater. Because apparently one of the guys was there and listened to it, and he liked it. So, shout out to Staircase Theater twice.
That's amazing. So
it's a good time.
You acquired a gig through being out in the real world, doing your thing the old-fashioned way.
That is exactly the way it happened, sir.
That's amazing.
I agree.
And I just had a question and then I answered it. I realized I was like way off base. It didn't make any sense. It's cool because it's a pre-recorded podcast, but I don't edit it after, so there's all these moments of like huge lulls and major things that I could take out that I could make eliminate to make this more entertaining. But no, it is what it is,
But wouldn't the laws be entertaining? Like, what are we
Sometimes
talking?
I think so. They're entertaining to me.
Yeah, there you go. Like,
I'm a good fraction of my own listenership, so if I'm enjoying it, then I can afford to keep doing it.
that's cool, my dude. You do you.
Are you familiar with Dope Chief?
Is that a statement? Is that a kind of weed? I'm not positive.
Someone else said that. No, he's a local artist, and he just agreed to do this podcast, which is crazy because I'm a huge fan. We actually have a print of his on the fridge.
Nice.
You may not have noticed it, but I'm very excited because he had this very cool style of like pop art where he kind of like did these paintings of famous cartoon characters. The one we have is Homer Simpson like turning into Mickey Mouse, like, but it's like this like melty acid trip type thing. It's
How did I not see that? That sounds incredible.
It's not very big. It's just on the side of the fridge. It's like a maybe 8.5 by 11, maybe a little bigger. But so he had all these cartoon characters, and then in everyone he just like puts the word dope in there, and like at least like a, you know, by Hamilton standards, hugely successful with this. And just recently I went to show a friend this, and he's completely shifted over. I knew he made a post recently about taking a new direction with his art, and I was like, oh cool. And some of the stuff I was like, this is sick.
This is
like
sweet.
now it's a completely original thing. He's taken elements from all these cartoon characters and put it into his own style. And but he took everything else down, and I was like, that is so bold. Like, you know, to
He took his social media out?
no, like all the previous stuff, like all the cartoon characters, and now
wow.
has just been like I mean, working obviously at a furious pace to like fill it out again with this new stuff, and it's awesome. I wonder, there's
Dope Chief.
yeah, oh man, check him out. He's amazing. And I mean, if all goes well, he'll be right there next week, which is kind of blowing my mind. I don't even know. You know, I wrote out a whole thing of stuff to talk to you about, and I didn't have it, and we were talking just fine.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
I wonder if I'll look at it and go, God, I should have asked this stuff, or maybe I'll be like, this was stupid.
I mean, you can always have round 2 if you really want to do it. I have no
hell
issues
yeah.
with that.
Yeah, man. Oh,
I'm cool with that.
That new single, that 2016 like 7-minute song you released.
Oh, Cycles. Okay.
Yeah, beautiful song.
Thank
and
you.
like you said, it's just kind of like 7 minutes, kind of quietly spilling your guts out. It doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right.
I feel like when I spill my guts out musically, it's not pretty. I mean, some people connect it, but it's not. A lot of people also go like, I don't like this. Your gut spilling is very, very nice. You have to.
I appreciate that.
You have to. It's not until a couple listens in that I start focusing on what you're saying instead of just how you're saying it. And then how you're saying it takes on a new light. Very different.
I like that.
Very different style from that first EP. Obviously, different production, but clearly different direction. It doesn't sound like if you put that on that same EP, it would stand out as part of something else. Definitely. Where have you gone since then?
Oh wow. So this new EP, I actually. It's like I'm grabbing scattered songs from like different friends that invited me over, and we recorded a tune or two. But the majority is from the same guy from the first EP, which is Carlos Matute, and he's an incredible like producer, like a sound engineer and whatnot. And yeah, I really like the vision that he has for the songs. We vibe pretty well. So where have I gone since? This last EP has definitely like a folk vibe, but it also has a song that is an open tuning, and that song is the song that also has the music video. And there's a very Brazilian tune, and there is one song which is a gut-wrenching song, which is just me spilling out about uncertainty, which is so it's an interesting listen even to myself. But I think this new EP, it's like it's new, but it's also old, because we recorded it in July or something like that, and I've had most of the songs, but as a band we've like changed those songs so much at this point that even when we release this EP, like if you hear it, like if we release this EP and we have to play it live, it's different. Like if I'm selling this EP at a show, I'm gonna have to be like, if you like the songs that you listen to, I don't know if you will like this EP. But if you didn't like
it
the
has
songs,
to come with a disclaimer.
Like, well, I mean, I want to be honest, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh yeah, like we're playing. There's this kind of thing that a lot of people have, which is like, oh, once the song has been in a studio and recorded, that's the song that you stick to. And I don't know how to do that. Like, I'm 100% with like dudes like Bob Dylan, which is like, yeah, you want Don't Think Twice Is Alright as like a capo song on C? Well, fuck you, man. Like, you're gonna find it out as a waltz on F.
Yeah.
So like I dig that kind of thing, which is that no song is forever like untouchable, unbreakable.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're always developing them.
Yeah.
One of my bass teachers made me listen to the album version of Wayne Shorter's Footprints. And
no idea.
And it's got this kind of like, it's very easy with that song. The kind of rhythmic theme is that you're feeling a waltz and a 4/4 simultaneously. And when they started playing, it's the album version of that is, it's the tune. They're playing it, and like that's the composition, and you get a sense of those overlapping time feels. But then my teacher was like, now listen to this after 9 years of playing it live, and they just go off. The drums are like, like he'll like throw down this like disgusting like just like 4 on the floor. No, even like go against like the 3 in just like this like ultra simple thing, but in a different time feel. And then like everyone is kind of you have this central pulse, and then multiple ways of interpreting it, and now the band is so comfortable in their own interpretations of it that when one guy goes off on one interpretation, the other guy can go off on the other interpretation.
Wow.
And it's just like, it almost, your head's spinning and you need to close your eyes to even keep track of, where the chords are changing, but they're just together. And I think that's the dream with having a band, right? Where you're developing, you're getting deeper and deeper into these songs. And as a fellow Jeff Buckley fan. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Jose just convinced me that I'm setting up a Jeff Buckley tribute show.
Let's do it.
Yeah, Tim Busa, if you're listening, you've been summoned.
This ain't Hollywood. We're looking at you.
We're looking at you, yeah. So if you're a fan of Jeff Buckley, you know that like there's the album version, which is this pristine, amazing composition. Everything's just perfectly polished. And then there's this raw, you can't even call it rehearsed. It's experience. You know, they've played these songs so many times, and like each of them has worked out these cool ways they can interact, and they can look at each other for cues and, you know, go off, and you can just go on this endless YouTube rabbit hole that I'm still, after, you know, a decade of obsessively listening to this guy's bootlegs, I'm still finding stuff, and the guy's career was only like 4 years long.
Yeah. Well, there's like, I think when he starts like that live recording that he has the Just Like a Woman live at something in New York. This is like a French name kind of thing, and he literally says, "This would be much better if we weren't recording." Like that, he's literally pinpointing that, because it's this kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have some like leeway to, like, you know, improvise and go off and do my own thing, but at the same time, I need to kind of like keep it together a little bit. So yeah, like I think like obviously it's very difficult to say what Jeff Buckley truly do or would say, but I think he seemed like he was one of those dudes that he was much more so into the kind of like, all right, like, yeah, this is the tune, like we know it like by heart, let's see where we go with it. You know what I mean? It's not like let's play it how we know it. It's kind of like if we had a road, and rather than just like walking it in a straight line, you're like, yeah, let's do some curves, like do some diagonals, like stay on the side for a bit, like, you know what I mean? It's this like, I have control of where I will end up, but I don't know how long or how many like times I'm going to jump or like try, like, you know, I don't know, like pretend that you're an airplane and fly around. It was a interesting analogy. Now I think it got out of my hands a little bit. So, well,
there's the audience element. You know, you can feed off their energy, or even lack thereof. You know, if you feel that there's an energy lacking in the audience, you might pick something up, like pick up the tempo of the next tune or something like that. Throw in something and play it a little bit more aggressively, right? If it's, you know, if you've been playing for a while and it's been getting hot and heavy and the audience is into it, and then you feel like they're ready to now, this is actually a yogic principle, that the whole purpose of the physical practice of yoga is to exhaust the body to allow the mind to rest. So at a show, in a performance, you know, if you're maintaining this high energy and you've now worn the audience out and you place a ballad right there, now you really have their attention. Now they're ready to experience something, you know.
I'm going to keep that in mind. That is a very good way of cueing things.
Do we acknowledge the break we just took? I just did, because we're already recording. We took a little break.
Yes, we did.
One thing I was thinking about is, do you like Jason Mraz?
So there's like Jason Mraz, which is like known Jason Mraz.
Yeah. And then the Jason Mraz who wrote Plane.
Yeah. Which is a really good tune.
Oh my God.
There's that one. He has a one called like The Remedy. This is the remedy. Da-da-da-da. This is a different liaison. Da-da-da. Which is, I think, is a really good tune. And he has a song also, I really used to like, called Geek in the Pink.
that song's so arrogant, but in the best possible way.
But I think that he's one of those dudes that got known from the one song, I'm Yours. And I think, Lucky also.
Lucky's
And
good.
that, like...
I'm Yours is like an okay song. Lucky is an incredible song and
Lucky's a
deserves to
very
be
nice
as popular
song.
as it is.
Yeah.
So the reason I brought him up is that Jason Mraz, I once heard him say that he has a whole bunch of demos and just like hundreds of songs, which he recognizes as very good, but they're too dark and he doesn't want to put that energy out into the world. Have you ever...
That.
Yeah, me too. And it's something I've adopted myself a little bit, where, you know, sometimes do you ever feel that the act of creating this ugly thing or this negative thing gets it out, and that's, you know, just because it's good and you worked on it? Do you ever feel compelled to like force it upon other people, or have you ever... because I think I'm getting away from that now, and I don't know, I just wanted to present you with that idea of his and see what you think about it.
I think that, like, there's a moment that you put out a song and, like, you're wondering what kind of feelings will it like create upon someone. And yeah, like I think there's definitely like, I mean, I don't really know how many people are listening or whatever, but like there's a responsibility. So I tried to like, I've written some songs that are pretty dark that I didn't like, I definitely didn't publish or play them live or anything, because I don't know, there's also like the stuff that is kind of nice, like songs that remain secrets to you in a way, which is cool too.
Sometimes you just need to go to that like one really hip open mic where people understand and just like cut loose and then never play that one again.
Yeah, I think I played this thing in Hamilton in October, and like there wasn't that much of a turnout, so I just started like playing songs that I hadn't played in such a long time, and one of them was the song that I've been like trying to write for so long, but I'm not able to completely come up with all of the lyrics. And there's like a very dark part of it. There's a very just like okay, like there's a very like poppy sort of like, you know, romantic aspect to it. But yeah, I don't know how comfortable would I feel with putting that song out. And I think that Jason Mraz, like with the vibe that he has and is known for, he definitely might not want to put something out that is not the I wear a fedora and I'm a surfer kind of dude.
See, that's the side of it that I don't respect. Like when I first heard it, that was my knee-jerk reaction to be like, you lame ass, like, you know, show all those sides of yourself. And then after I reflected on it for a bit, I was like, you know what? I kind of respect that.
I think that like regardless of where he's coming from, that like there's definitely something really, really cool about being able to even produce as much art to give yourself the chance of curating it and be like, yeah, this is really good, this is not, like, is this kind of thing. I think like a lot of the major like singer-songwriters do that, which is just like I might write 12 tunes in a year and that I'm using them, but maybe one or two I will be playing next year.
Yeah.
That'd be my answer.
True. So, all right. I think we've... I just went and got during our break that you didn't hear through the magic of Cubase. Elliott Smith.
No.
You...
Okay. What about?
I think when we first met, which was a few years ago,
yeah.
I said something about how I didn't care for Elliott Smith, and you changed my mind.
That's very nice to hear. I didn't know that. That makes me feel happy.
Yeah. So, I write these little notes, but I don't write. I just wrote Elliott Smith. Now I remember what it was. It was the story that you told about him that made me go back to his music, just that you just made me aware of some of the pain in his life that, you know, listening to it like, hey, Mike, listen to Elliott Smith. Okay, listen. Sad. Click off. And that's my opinion of it. And then... Fair. Fair. And then you gave me a bit more of the background of the person, and then when I was a bit more, you know, maybe in that mood or more receptive to listening to something like that, I checked it out again with that in mind, and now it's the same music. You know, obviously the recording hasn't changed, but now I'm listening to it, and as someone who's been or listening to someone I know has been somewhere and is now telling me about it. What do you think, like, the importance of the stories of people? Some people don't listen to music like that at all, and it doesn't make a difference even if you tell them, you know, oh, you know, this was recorded about that. And they're like, I don't care, I don't like that song.
I think that, like, there's like a wholesome aspect of knowing the story behind a song, which is like, I don't know, like a lot of stuff comes to mind with Pete Seeger or Bob Dylan, which are two dudes that I've read a decent amount about, which is that like Pete Seeger writes a lot about, like I was telling you earlier, a lot about like protests and whatnot, and explaining why he does it, or like at the time that he did it. It's really, really, really interesting to like understand why, and why are the songs like incredible. Like he has a song called "Where Have All the Flowers Gone?"
Oh, now I know who Pete Seeger is.
All the flowers gone, long time passing, and it's like, it's this really, 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 really nice kind of like, where are all these souls going? Where, like, why are we like wasting these bodies and whatnot? And it's incredible. But yeah, like with Elliott Smith, like, man, I can't even remember. Actually, I'm pretty sure I started listening to Elliott Smith for like the lamest of reasons. I remember, and I'm gonna share it because I don't care.
Yeah,
I think I was watching American Pie, The Book of Love. And it's American Pie 7, and it's awful. It's not a good movie at all. But, like, in the love scene at the end of the movie, like, Say Yes started playing, which is, like, one of the most famous Elliott Smith songs. And I was, like I remember much more the minute that song started playing than the rest of the whole movie, like, the whole movie. And I was like, who is this dude? You know what I mean? Like, where can I find this guy? And I went on this, like, rabbit hole of the internet and Elliott Smith. And then, like, Say Yes went to Between the Bars and all these kinds of, like, known tunes, and then to his, like, basement tapes and whatnot. And I think at that point, I watched Good Will Hunting at that point, too. And he did the soundtrack for Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
So, like, there's this, like, video on YouTube, which is him playing at the Oscars. And it's like Elliott Smith dressed in all white playing Miss Misery. And Elliott Smith is competing with Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On. And like Elliott Smith at the beginning of the interview is just like, yeah, I feel very strange. Like, I was just like me and my guitar, like in a room with like a bunch of people, and they were like wondering like, what is this man doing here? Like, he doesn't make millions as us and whatever. Like, that may be paraphrasing, but like there's something so simple about Elliott Smith just grabbing a guitar and just being like, all right, here's my story.
But then he had all those arrangements in his head, right? Because he was responsible for arranging the songs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
he was an incredible musician in my personal opinion. Like, some of the riffs that, yes, they're considered folk, but they go much further than like folk music as like, I don't know, as like a 4-chord structure song. Like, Elliott Smith was not that dude.
That whole swirl of like just drums and vocals in Everything Is Nothing. on that outro, that just blows my mind, man.
Yeah.
And
That one's a very good tune.
yeah, and now I've bummed us both out.
No.
On that note,
I'm not bummed out about Elliott Smith. Believe you me, I've been enough.
yeah.
At this point, it's like it's no longer like this placebo answer, which is like, oh, I'm depressed. All right, where's Elliott Smith? Like, find me some Elliott Smith playlist.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, all right, Elliott Smith is playing. This is cool.
Now you can be happy listening to it, just knowing that he graced us with his presence for the short period of time that he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another one. Goals. Like what did I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God,
what did I
man.
mean by that?
Oh God, that's an interesting
What are you
question.
doing with your life?
Oh, well, that's you know what? I think the past 2 hours will show that I have no idea.
Once again, going back to where I started going with the evolution of your songwriting and the first one, the first EP, seems very personal, even if it isn't. I don't know if the songs or the stories are about you or other people, things you observe. But it seems personal just in the sense that it's emotive. It's, you have this line in the one song, I hope to see people and not just the bodies that, what's that?
Oh yeah, whatever happens first. Yeah, I think that song I wrote it in my first year of university, and I think that was 2013. And there was this room that I used to spend a lot of time in. And there was this weird thing about like going with a very monotone conversation, and like even if they were great people, we were just like I was just stuck in this loop, and it was just kind of like I was outside of my body while talking to them, and like the person above me, like my actual like conception of self was just like, all right, like
So watching yourself go through these motions of meeting people and
yeah. But I mean, I think that song actually like made me realize that was one of the moments that my head was just like, all right, maybe you should drop out. Like maybe you're really not wanting to be here right now. So it definitely, I think all of those songs are extremely personal. I think the first song, is called Two Sides of a Coin, which is
that
like... That
was the next one I was going to ask about.
Yeah. What is your question about it?
You say what you were going to say.
That is a song that is basically a story about two people that meet on the road, and there's supposed to be this like vibe in some of the lines that gives you an idea that they're like hitchhiking in a clown car, and they're like meeting, and one of these people follow whatever like path she was happy with, and he didn't, so he becomes this like alcoholic man. And by the end of the song, you have this kind of like symbolical way of like saying, my son, like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So because this guy like behaved this way and did not nurture his kid is suffering as well.
Yeah, so that two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
It's all harkens back to choices. And yeah, you have that line about whiskey. What's that line?
Yeah.
The
stumble upon his way. He was never. He's been drinking since 7:05. A little whiskey here and there. Never made a man impair. Is up to him to survive.
yeah, exactly. That's it. And it's how you respond to hardships is kind of what it's all about. Like everyone everyone's going to be faced with trials. And I think one thing I can tell just from the sound, I haven't even listened to the 2016 song enough to know what the lyrics are about, but just from what I find you communicate is that a lot of the stuff that you were working through when you wrote that first EP doesn't seem to be an issue, and you're moving on to something new. Is that an accurate assessment? Would you say that, I mean, not to say that, these songs aren't significant anymore to you, but do you feel like you've, through writing them and performing them, you've evolved?
I think that a couple of those songs, like, they stuck around for a bit, but like Cycles is just like, it's truly just about a person that left and that I was significantly involved with, and it's just kind of like, wishing them the best. I think there's like a line that says like, as long as I can feel your scent, be a flower of the world. So it's this kind of like, yeah, it's just accepting that you don't own a person and you want the best future for them. So that song is not about me at all. Like, that song is just about this person and the experiences that I shared with her.
And what have you found yourself writing about on this new album coming out? Now we know roughly around April.
Like, there's a lot of like, there's two songs that are basically travel stories. They're just literally like just depictions of the time.
Beautiful.
There's one song which I'm not even sure if it's going to be there. I think I'm almost positive that it will be, which is just this song that is about coming back and accepting the fact that, or not accepting the fact that you're back, and just wanting to be in this kind of like euphoric self-indulgement 24/7, but that is very, very difficult to attain. The other song is just a song. It's a song about the person that I was talking about in Cycles, and it's a very similar theme. It's accepting and kind of like letting go. I think I wrote 3 or 4 songs around that time, and most of them I actually kept. So whatever that means, they're around, and I still like them. I still like them quite a bit. Some of them are growing more than others, but I think it's part of it. And the one song that I have not mentioned yet, is a song that is literally just about, I joke that is a song about when you forget your lighter and you're on top of a mountain. You make of that whatever you want. But it's much more so about like attaining that place within your mind that you're not afraid of being in there. So it's this kind of like, yes, like the lights might be out, but there's like a place inside that you don't really need to see, and you're at ease with being in that darkness. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's
well,
that's something.
I look forward to hearing all those. I'm assuming you'll play some of those live at some of your upcoming shows, which you heard it here. You get a free drink from Jose if you mention the Michael AM radio show on the internet. All right, so I'll be posting where those shows are, links to where people can hear your music, and we've already got all this set up. We haven't had someone perform on the show yet, but I think we're going to, right? It's not going to be on the show. I'm just going to include it as a separate. So far, I'm putting these out on YouTube. I'm sure I'm sure there's a better way to get podcasts out. Just SoundCloud. Like one of these maxes out the amount of upload time I'm allowed to use on SoundCloud, right?
Oh, really?
Before I start having to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
So
True.
So far, it's just on YouTube.
That's cool.
I might upgrade my website, and then if I get free upload time, just make the whole podcast available for free on there, or for a modest price if my sponsors don't pull through. Hamilton Farmers Market. Who else? I'm looking at you.
Hamilton HSR.
I'm calling it the HSR to give me. I don't even take a bus anywhere, but give me a bus pass. See if I use it. Who knows?
You heard it here.
Anyway,
well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Of course. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. This was my theater, would you see my play? Knew this was my painting, will you take it home with you? And if this was my song, would you listen to it? I know it's not good enough, but I made it for you. Saturday morning comes and leaves yesterday's memories remain intact. Is it the sky I will have to avoid for the next couple